The UK Prime Minister confirms that the UK is to go into a second lockdown. Straight after confirming that the government is removing 2 countries from the travel corridor. We've got an update on the UK lockdown and quarantine list for you. After removing Cyprus and Lithuania, the UK confirms our expected lockdown. In this video, we will discuss the UK quarantine list and the UK second lockdown, as well as which countries are off and on the travel corridor list, and how lockdown number 2 will affect travel. But first, we want to thank you for joining us. Find us on all the other social media channels, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and click that bell to get notified when we release a new video. We also appreciate your likes and comments below, as it helps to support our channel. After yesterday's video anticipating the looming second national lockdown in the UK, it has been confirmed by the UK Prime Minister that England will be going into a second lockdown. England will begin a month-long lockdown on Thursday, the 5th of November, with Boris Johnson saying, acting now could allow families to spend Christmas together. Pubs, restaurants, gyms, non-essential shops, and places of worship will close, but as anticipated, schools, colleges, and universities can stay open. With schools, colleges, and universities staying open, it has been confirmed that, despite the Prime Minister's hopes, it may take more time to get the virus under control. It therefore means that, instead of believing the government plan of a 4-week lockdown, we should expect a lockdown that lasts a couple of months, like the first lockdown. This latest lockdown has been implemented against the Prime Minister's wishes. Since the 21st of September, the Prime Minister was advised to go into a lockdown. He rather resisted the advice, and the opposition leader has been voicing his concerns that the UK government is not listening to its scientific advisors. The announcement has resulted in anger from those in the Prime Minister's own government and party, and business leaders have warned of a bleak winter. This second lockdown is expected to last until the 2nd of December, after which, England's regional tiered system would be reintroduced. But in line with the government's scientific advisors, Cabinet Office Minister Michael Gove has already stated that the lockdown could be extended beyond that deadline. Under England's second national lockdown, people will be told to stay at home, except for specific reasons. These include work which cannot be done from home, childcare, or education, exercise outdoors, medical reasons, essential shopping, providing care for vulnerable people, or for volunteering, and visiting members of your support bubble. You cannot meet people indoors, or in private gardens, but you can meet one other person from another household, outside in a public place. Non-essential retail will close, but can remain open for click and collect delivery. Pubs, bars, restaurants will have to close, but can still provide takeaway and delivery, excluding takeaway of alcohol. Indoor and outdoor leisure facilities, such as gyms and swimming pools, will also close, along with entertainment venues and personal care facilities, such as beauty salons. Places of worship will close, unless they are being used for funerals, to broadcast acts of worship, individual prayer, formal childcare, or essential services, such as blood donation or food banks. Construction sites and manufacturing workplaces can remain open. Weddings and civil partnership ceremonies will not be able to take place, except in exceptional circumstances, and funerals will be limited to a maximum of 30 people. Children will still be able to move between homes, if their parents are separated. Clinically vulnerable people will be asked to be especially careful, but people will not be asked to resume shielding. But more information about this will be made available tomorrow. You should avoid all non-essential travel by private or public transport. Essential travel includes, but is not limited to, essential shopping, traveling to work, where your workplace is open, or you cannot work from home, traveling to education, and for caring responsibilities, hospital GP and other medical appointments, or visits where you have had an accident, or are concerned about your health. Overnight stays and holidays away from primary residences will not be allowed, including holidays in the UK and abroad, with an exception, for example, for work purposes. Therefore, non-essential international travel should also be avoided. If you do travel internationally, you will be able to return, but are likely to face quarantine restrictions, unless you are traveling from one of the UK's safe travel corridor countries. Although European countries are going into a second lockdown, Europe is still open to both essential travel from all countries around the world, and non-essential travel from the EU's safe country list. Currently, as of October 22, the EU Council advised the member states to gradually lift the travel restrictions at the external borders for residents of the following third countries: Australia, Japan, New Zealand, Rwanda, Singapore, South Korea, Thailand, Uruguay, China, subject to confirmation of reciprocity. There is also an understanding, under the EU Free Movement and Schengen Agreement, to enable travelers from a member state to travel to other European countries, subject to individual country rules. There are individual travel bans imposed by a number of European countries, as well as the European travel ban, and the US travel bans that you may need to navigate. Check out the links in the description to find out how to legally avoid those bans. The new lockdown in England follows on from an update to its quarantine list. Every Thursday, prospective overseas holidaymakers have been enduring an anxious wait to see if their chosen destination has remained on the government's directory of quarantine-free countries. This list of travel corridors has been gradually shrinking in recent times, with COVID cases rising in many popular destinations around Europe. Cyprus and Lithuania have been added to the UK's coronavirus quarantine list. Transport Secretary and Hertfordshire MP, Grant Shapps, announced that travellers arriving to the UK from these two countries will need to self-isolate. Mr. Shapps also announced that no countries will be added to the list of travel corridors this week. Despite recent concerns over Germany, with a current rate of 107 cases per 100,000 people, it remains on quarantine exemption. A 14-day quarantine only applies to arrivals from outside the list of government travel corridors, with a potential fine of up to £10,000 for those who break the isolation rules. Here's the full list of places you can travel to, without needing to quarantine when you come back. Akrotiri and Dhekelia, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Australia, the Azores, Barbados, Bermuda, British Antarctic Territory, British Indian Ocean Territory, British Virgin Islands, Brunei, the Canary Islands, Cayman Islands, the Channel Islands, Cuba, Denmark, Dominica, Estonia, Falkland Islands, Faroe Islands, Fiji, Finland, Gibraltar, Germany, Greece, including Lesbos, Santorini, Serifos, Tinos and Zakynthos, Greenland, Grenada, Hong Kong, Ireland, the Isle of Man, Japan, Latvia, Macau, Madeira, Malaysia, Maldives, Mauritius, Montserrat, New Caledonia, New Zealand, Norway, Pitcairn, Henderson, Ducie, and Eno Islands, Seychelles, Singapore, South Korea, South Georgia, and the South Sandwich Islands, Saint Barthélemy, Saint Helena, Ascension, and Tristan da Cunha. St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Pierre and Miquelon, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Sweden, Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam. The update to the list came into force today, for people arriving in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. According to government data, Lithuania has 140 cases per 100,000 people, and Cyprus currently has a rate of 112 cases per 100,000 people. The UK has currently a 7-day rate of 230 cases per 100,000 people. But as we have seen, this is expected to rise significantly as the second wave of the pandemic hits, and the UK government have been forced into a second lockdown. As coronavirus cases across the continent continue their steep rise, and the European Union's two most populous countries enter into a second lockdown period, Europe braces itself for a second round of national lockdowns. France, Germany, Belgium, and Greece have become the latest countries to announce second lockdowns. Increased measures have also been announced in Spain and Italy, among others. From the 30th of October until December 1st, people in France are only allowed to leave homes to buy essential goods, for medical reasons, and to exercise for an hour a day. Anyone who wants to go outside will be required to fill out an attestation, which is a form that was required to leave home during the first lockdown. As all non-essential businesses are forced to close, including restaurants, bars, and many shops. A travel ban is in place between regions, while national borders with counties outside the Schengen area is closed. Remote working is advised, where possible, and universities are set to move their teaching schedules online. Unlike the first lockdown, however, schools and creches will remain open. Care home visits will also be allowed. Germany's lockdown begins tomorrow, which will last for 4 weeks. Under the rules, bars and pubs will close, while restaurants will remain open for takeaways only. Shops are open with restrictions on space, allowing for a maximum of 1 person per 10 square meters of shop floor space permitted. Gyms, cinemas, and theaters will close, along with hotels closing to tourists. Indoor gatherings will be limited to 10 people, and can include no more than 2 households. Like France, schools, nurseries, and daycare centers will stay open, and care homes will be able to admit visitors. Belgium imposed a partial lockdown after being the worst-hit country in the European Union by the pandemic. Non-essential shops are shut, and trades that require close contact, like hairdressers, are closed. Gyms, pools, and other cultural and leisure facilities are also closed. All bars and restaurants continue to be shut for 4 weeks, with only takeaways allowed, and no selling of alcohol after 8 p.m. Working from home is mandatory, if possible. Belgians are allowed to welcome only 1 close contact into their homes. New restrictions were introduced last Monday, the 26th of October, and will remain in place for a month. All bars and restaurants have to close by 6 p.m., but they can provide takeaways after 6 p.m. Schools and workplaces remain open. Gyms, swimming pools, theaters and cinemas are closed, but museums remain open, and people are asked to not leave their immediate areas. Gatherings for weddings, baptisms and funerals are banned. Face masks are already compulsory everywhere, apart from at home. Greece will shut down restaurants, bars, cafes, cinemas, and gyms across a large part of the country, including the capital Athens. The changes will take effect on Tuesday, the 3rd of November morning, and last for all of November. Restaurants in the affected areas will still be able to offer food for takeaway and deliveries. Briefly, the Greek Prime Minister announced the following to combat COVID-19. Use of masks everywhere, indoors and outdoors. Daily curfews from midnight to 5 a.m. Complete distance learning in universities. No gatherings. The Prime Minister added, unlike in the spring, however, travel outside the prefecture is not prohibited. Mitsotakis added that, compared to the first phase of COVID-19, movement without the need to send messages is allowed, retail stores remain open, and schools operate normally. Spain declared a state of emergency and began a nationwide curfew between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. on Sunday, the 25th of October. Territorial restrictions are in place, and meetings of more than 6 are banned across the country. People are only allowed to make a journey if going to work, buying medicine, or caring for someone. Face masks have to be worn on public transport and indoors in public spaces, with regions making masks compulsory outside too. What are your thoughts on the second wave and the second lockdowns? Did you plan on traveling this year? Tell us what your travel plans were, or still are, before the year end. Comment below. If you need assistance with a visa to Europe or the UK, including help with securing your travel arrangements, IAM can help. For visa advice, contact your IAM visa coordinator. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for more travel and visa updates.